All right, so I'm with DSA. We've been working with Tenant Organizing, and I thought I would take this slide and go over it through video, and this will not only create training content, but also help me become a better teacher. And so, with that said, I want to introduce this slideshow. This is a slideshow from the tenant and neighborhood councils based out of the Bay Area. I found this slideshow through YouTube, through a video called Tenant Organizing 101, Knocking on Doors, and I'll have that link available to anybody that's interested. So with that said, this slideshow, this little class is called Building Power Through Canvassing. It's a guide for tenant canvassing. So this is pretty much the first thing you get into when you're wanting to organize, is to knock on some doors. That's where we get started. First slide. Intro. What is canvassing and why do it? Alright, so canvassing is an outreach tactic that we use to reach new tenants and bring them into our organizing. Our power is collective, which means that we have to work as a group that is united in action. The first step in collective action is reaching out to the unorganized. Unfortunately, the U.S. has a highly individualistic and alienating culture. We can't rely on already formed relationships, since we often don't even communicate with tenants in our own building. That's why canvassing is an important tool for organizing. So, that's pretty straightforward, what that all means. We got to learn to communicate, essentially. We got problems as a culture, perhaps, and perhaps one of those critiques that could be had is communication, and that's what we're here for. So, the mechanics of canvassing. Here's what canvassing looks like from afar. 1. Active organizers discuss the objective for canvassing. Why are we reaching out? And what's the actionable item we want to take? So, for example, we're asking tenants to sign a petition to pave the parking lot because it has so many potholes or something. That's just an example. That's one example. 2, organizers write a script that gives an idea for how to approach unorganizing or inactive tenants. So a script that's just for being more comfortable when dealing with unfamiliar situations, with people that are unfamiliar with you or unfamiliar with what's been going on. I find that you do have to. It's good to keep tenants that aren't organizing, up to date with what's going on, and that's usually pretty helpful. 3, a list of uncontacted apartments / buildings is made, and a date time is chosen for canvassing. So these are your big 3s in organizing an event: time, date, location. Those take a big priority when organizing an event. Perhaps your first priority. 4, day of. Organizers do an overview of the day's task. Practice once or twice. Distribute turf, maps with addresses, and send people off. So an example I like to use here is flyering vehicles. So we look at a parking lot and we decide who's going to get what part of the parking lot to flyer. Then we go to one of our own cars and teach people how to put in the flyer, like properly without damaging the vehicle. And then that's number 4. Number 5, have a time to meet up afterwards. Do a go around debrief and collect materials, input information into your files, data and databases. For our organization, we usually meet up several days after. We report on our experiences and how we feel about them. And then we collect whatever, like phone numbers or information that may have been given to them, and keep that in our spreadsheets. Moving on. So objectives for canvassing. You want to have a clear idea about why and how you will canvass. Hold a planning meeting if necessary. Try to answer these questions. 1. What are we asking tenants to do? The more material to ask, the better. For example, a protest, a town hall meeting, etc. Inviting people to a business meeting is generally the least successful action. Administrative work is more of a leadership-like role. People that want to invest that kind of effort usually tune into something like that. But something like just a gathering is something that people can understand. It's interesting. It's engaging for most people, and not just the most invested. Moving on. Number 2, what information are we collecting? Be sure to collect contact info. Do not be shy about this. The most valuable thing to get is the phone number. Yes, the list is our. Organizing lives and dies by list. Not having a list can really hurt you when organizing. So we put a high value on taking down numbers, because we have to communicate again. Number 3, what materials should we bring? Flyers are a great thing to distribute. Remember that the most important thing, though, is getting a contact number. You want to reach out to them. Do not rely on them reaching out to you. So yeah, people got lives, and people got roles, and some people do have to take the roles of reaching out. You can't expect everybody to go out of their way. It's not really how people work. But moving on to the next slide. Scripts and talking to new tenants. Generally, scripts are not useful for memorization. Rather, they are confidence builders. They describe how good conversations can flow and give canvassers ideas for how to speak with new tenants. It usually consists of the following items. Introduce yourself and the organizing project. Ask about their experience. Show them you care about their issues. If they are very antagonistic, just nicely end the conversation and move on. Make connections between their experience and the organizing drive. If they have no issues, tell them that unfortunately things can change and that they can stand in solidarity with affected tenants. Get their information, especially name and phone numbers and any other info. Give them a flyer. Say goodbye. Yep. And that's pretty much straight to the point. We want to respect their time. Respect is another thing that's necessary for organizing. A conversation example. So this is an example. Canvasser says, "Hi, I'm also a tenant of X landlord, and I'm with the X tenant union. Basically, there has been this issue, that issue, and that problem. Have you had to deal with this or had other issues?" And if the tenant has issues, you ask a question about them. That's an opportunity to start a discussion, build some trust. If the tenant says they do not have issues, you could try something like, well, you never know. things can change and the landlord can start doing these things to you. It's good to be in touch just in case. And we're trying to build solidarity between all tenants. Could I get your phone numbers so we could stay in touch? Because yes, things can always change. Nothing is ever certain. The only thing that is certain is hubris. So with that said, this slide was made during COVID, during the pandemic. That's where a lot of tenant organizing effort was made. This doesn't, I don't know if I could say this doesn't apply to us because COVID is still a thing, but it's not a popular thing to talk about here. And everybody stopped wearing their masks, so we kind of subscribe to the average on that. Me personally, at least, just I don't wear the mask, but I respect other people's decision to do so. Number 3, finding uncontacted and the contacted. So most tenants do not know who their landlord is and if they own any other properties. There's a bit in here from TANC about their resource that they're offering. Here in Lubbock, it's available online through the Lubbock tax assessor's website. And it's very easy to use. There's nothing really to it. And I'll make sure to include a link that's accessible around this video. You're going to want to keep track of apartments you've made contact with and those you have not. A simple Google spreadsheet can do this as long as someone is dedicated to keeping track of info post Canvas. Sheets, keeping a sheet, it's a little bit of work. You have to sit down and get in front of a computer, but it's worth the effort. If properties are spread out over an urban environment, it's sometimes helpful to make a custom Google map to keep track and to share with canvassers. I think this would apply to like a lot of properties here on Avenue Q. There's a cluster of properties that are spread out over a region, and a map is helpful to keep track of them and to keep an idea of them. Try to build a way for keeping information that is easy to update and uncomplicated. Remember that without paid staff, it's easy to end up with a complex intake process that doesn't get finished. Just keep things simple. You don't have to go through a lot of processing. Maybe like a very short questionnaire, 3 sentences, three questions, just to like get people's info and get an idea of what's going on. Maybe even using like a Google form with just 3 questions on it, just to give them just where they could like put in their name, phone number, and what and so on and so forth. The day of, things to keep in mind. Before the canvassing day, be sure to send individual text reminders to core organizers. You want to make sure they turn out. Send a mass email or text to your chat to turn out other organizers too. Don't worry about being annoying. For the day of, you'll want to have the following materials ready. So texting. DSA has a tool for texting that we could use. We could send out mass texts. So we could help you use the tool, so that would be our remedy for sending out mass texts. And mass texts are good. We don't use them enough, and we need to. But they get the message across. But continuing on, printed materials, flyers, handbills, etc. So I'm just gonna say our DSA can help you with these. Just ask the DSA. Clipboards and pens, again, DSA has these on loan. Ask us again, find our info. Water bottles if it's going to be hot. A generic script that's written out and printed. A person who will lead the pre-canvas discussion. They will go over the script, answer questions, etc. Turf printouts or a link, some way to let people know where to go. Another COVID thing, and they have some useful stuff. I won't go over it for now though. Post canvas. After the canvas, make sure to do a fast debrief. This is important for thinking through problems and for making the canvassing better next time. Perhaps more important is the bonding that this allows for with new organizers. Sharing their stories and giving advice will allow them to become closer to the organizing project. This means they will be more likely to do it again and get more involved. Make sure there is someone who is responsible for collecting all the materials, sign-up sheets, etc., and inputting them into your data set. Since it is easy to lose paper, make sure to take cell phone pictures of all documents before the end of the canvas. Yes, it's very easy to lose paper. Physical paper organizing is tedious. It can be tedious. And cell phones are pretty convenient. Once people come back, do a go around, ask what their experience was, anything that stood out, possible improvements or possible next steps. Canvassing final tips. Whatever the context, canvassing should try to accomplish the following things. A. Getting tenants information, especially their phone numbers. B. Educating tenants on the organizing project. C. Agitating tenants around issues. Remember that many tenants will say they have no issues at first and then later on will discover problems that they've rationalized. D. Building solidarity between all tenants regardless of the situation and status. Also remember that there will always be tenants in different states of mind. Reactionary tenants should be avoided. Their inclusion will only derail the organizing. Many people may be on the fence, which is fine. Bringing them to your side will take time and won't be accomplished in this first interaction. So don't expect miracles. Don't keep your expectations humble. Alright, beyond canvassing. Remember that organizing is a multi-step process. Canvassing is just one part of a larger division of labor for organizing effectively. Though essential, canvassing is not good enough. Further steps will have to be taken to bring more people into the organizing. After getting more people's information, you'll want to figure out a way to reach out to them. If there is an event happening, do a mass text to all of them. If you have capacity, phone banking, calling, and if no response, texting is the best way to turn people out to your event. Remember that there will always be an inner layer of organizers and outer layers of tenants who are involved to lesser extents. There's a lot more to organizing, and TANC and DSA will have organizer trainings for this reason. Reach out to us if you want to do it, and you could contact them. You could also contact us and we can find you something. Final thought: the problem of housing is a universal problem of capitalism. Powerful interests are well organized to maintain the status quo. Landlords, speculators, college administrators, and financiers have all benefited from the current arrangement of the housing market. Our own tenant organizing is absolutely key, but if it takes place isolated from others, we will likely lose. That's why we advocate for all tenants to join. You could join them or you could join us so that we can build solidarity between tenant organizing and have an organization of our own. So yeah, we're pretty much very similar to these guys, so fill in the blanks. Join today. We have resources to share. Together we will win. And that's their website. And of course you may already know about DSA, but I'll make sure to put our link on there. But yes, that's been the canvassing training, the tenant organizing training that we do plan on hosting at least, at the very least, a version of it physically near apartments that have landlords that have been causing issues, that have been of ill repute. But to that, stay tuned with us. Thank you for your attention, and I appreciate your time. Bye.